from the guys that interviewed in Cleveland last year for that job, like the entire process was about Evan Mobley. Like it was just like, what are you going to do with Evan? How do you get more out of Evan Mobley? That's just what it was like that. And you know this, like it was that's what they wanted. They wanted more out of Evan Mobley. And when I watch these Cleveland games, especially during that winning streak, Kenny has I know he coached Draymond, but I don't necessarily see Draymond. I see more like Bam Adebayo and Domantas Sabonis and like ball handling bigs with higher usage rates than what Mobley had last year. He's putting him in different spots. Like he's not in like the dunker position anymore. He's the trailing big. He's, the screener on pick and rolls, but he's ball handling at times on pick and rolls. Like he's just putting him in new positions for Evan Mobley. And Evan just slides right into him and thrives in these spots. I mean, I think that to me, when I watch this team, and I'm sure there's lots of layers to it, of course, but like when I watch this team, it's like Evan is a lot better. And that's probably the biggest reason this team is a lot better.
I mean, one of the first questions that President of Basketball Operations, Kobe Altman, asked Kenny Atkinson during his interview process was, what's your plan for Evan Mobley? And it's funny because I sat down with Kenny Atkinson recently, probably about a month ago, and we went through that whole process and how he approached that interview and how nervous he was, because he has been on record, Chris, as he wanted this job. Like it was a job that he prepared for, that he studied for, and he came with all of these different video clips, and he had this PowerPoint presentation, and he was ready to get through all of it. And he got through basically the Evan Mobley portion, and that was about it, because he spent so much time trying to lay out a detailed plan for how he was going to unlock Evan Mobley and how he was going to use Evan, because he knew that was going to speak to this front office, because he knew how much this front office needed that to be the case. And if this organization, many people have said this, Chris, if this organization's going to hang another banner, Evan Mobley's got to be the best player. He's got to be the most important player. And that's how Kenny Atkinson has approached this. He has empowered Evan Mobley. He has gotten him to a different level of confidence. And I think it also goes hand in hand with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell had to take a slight step back so that he could elevate Evan. And he has empowered Evan. And every single opportunity that Donovan has gotten, he has told Evan, hey, like, we need you to be aggressive. Game 5 last year, following the loss against Boston, Donovan Mitchell didn't play. It's the Eastern Conference semifinals. Emotions are still raw. He pulls Evan Mobley to the side. He pounds him on the chest, and he says, that's who you are. That's how you need to be. Like, that's how you need to play against the best of the best, because he was great in Game 5. He was one of the best players on the floor, and that floor had future Hall of Famers, and that floor had MVP candidates on it. You're talking about Jaylen Brown, you're talking about Jason Tatum, and Evan Mobley was great in that Game 5. And Donovan Mitchell said, like, that's who you are, that's who you need to be. And I think when you have a player the caliber of Donovan Mitchell delivering those kinds of reinforcing messages to Evan, on top of the way that Kenny Atkinson is using him and giving him a certain kind of freedom within the offense, that all comes together to make Evan believe, hey, I am the guy. Mm. I am a guy to deal with here. This can be my franchise at some point in time.
He keeps, he being Kenny Atkinson, he keeps invoking the name of Magic Johnson with Evan Mobley, which is like, I mean, that's like putting pressure on a guy, but whatever Evan's doing out there with the ball, Kenny keeps seeing flashes of 80s Magic like in there, which is wild. But sometimes you do see it, like the passing, the no-look passing, kind of the cutting that guys do around him. Like he just has this great presence and awareness of things that are going on out there on the floor. And I honestly think that Kenny, like, he must get like just this big smile on his face whenever he sees Evan like pull down a rebound and start the break by himself. Like that's what he wants Evan Mobley to do. Like start the game out in transition. I mean, he had that sequence that was all over Twitter at the time against Memphis when he boxed out Zach Edey, threw the ball out to Ty Jerome, got the ball back, nailed the three. Next possession, pulls down the next rebound, dribbles it up himself from the exact same spot, nails the three. I bet, and you talked, I'm sure, to everybody after that game, but like I'm sure everybody on the coaching staff and in the front office was like, holy shit, if this guy is doing that on even a semi-regular basis, the rest of the league's in trouble. It's a wrap because that guy's an MVP.
There was also a moment in Charlotte on the road. It was recently, and the Cavs had no business, being that close against the Hornets. But it seemed like their winning streak was going to end in Charlotte on a sleepy afternoon. And all of a sudden, Evan Mobley takes a sidestep three, bailout possession right in front of the Cavs bench. And the Cavs bench was just like, oh my God, what did we just see right there? If he's going to do that kind of stuff, like now we're talking about more Kevin Durant-y as opposed to Kevin Garnett-y. You know what I mean? So, the way that Evan is being used within this offense, they had to do this though, Chris. They had to diversify their offensive attack because everybody knew when you got into a pressure situation, when you got into a big moment, all right, ball in the hands of Donovan, ball in the hands of Darius, high screen and roll, and not a whole lot of movement, not a whole lot of
bad
cutting.
Shots would lead to bad shots in those situations. Yeah.
It was so predictable. So the Cavs have become less predictable on the offensive end of the floor. Kenny Atkinson likes to call it controlled chaos. And when you watch them operate offensively and then you look at the defense, they're like, who's going to get the ball? Like, who's going to cut? Like, who am I focused on? Am I focused on Evan? Am I focused on Donovan? Am I focused on Darius? Do I have to stay connected to DeAndre Hunter? Do I have to stay connected to Max Strus? And the flow that the Cavs have created offensively and the movement that they've created offensively and the random cutting and all those different things, they're still pick and roll heavy, and they're going to be because Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, they're elite at it. And Jarrett Allen's an elite pick and roll big, but it's all the other stuff that happens within the course of the possession that goes on around the pick and roll stuff. No defense has been able to figure these guys out to this point.
I was looking this up recently. Like last year, Evan's usage rate among guys that have started games was 130th. Like he was sandwiched between like John Collins and Vasily Micic, like of all people. like he had just a usage rate that was way too low.
Exactly what you would expect from a Max
exactly,
player, right?
Exactly.